It's pretty amazing to realize how the everyday person plays a role in the society, economics, business, and everything in that regard. The everyman plays a very big role. Everyone that's probably sitting here right now plays a role in some part. I guarantee something around 95% of you guys are the everyman, the middle class, the people that are driving the economy, the people that drive social change, people that are making up the votes. The biggest thing that I really want to relate about what I do for a living, what my company does for a living, and what we want to do going forward, we want to bring something as important as automotive purchases, big ticket items, bring it back to the kitchen table where it belonged. I guarantee you that when they released the Ford Model T, it wasn't, discussed on the internet, it wasn't done here or done there, or discussed in all these different forums, didn't have web pages, didn't have any of that. It was a conversation that was held at someone's kitchen table about how someone came up with this great invention, the automobile, the car. It's mass produced, we can buy it, and it's affordable. When something is needed, the demand is high, and it's affordable, that's huge. And that's what a lot of people in a fully saturated market like what you see today in many different industries, they lose sight of that. Having the demand be high is very important. But there's nothing we can do about a saturated market once it's saturated. Once you have full saturation in this way, now you have people that have to refine, people that need to regulate. And that's where we fall. The biggest thing that I can say is that the world doesn't need any more brands, doesn't need any more cars, doesn't need any more trims, doesn't need any more nothing. But it needs a better education and a better understanding of how to make it succeed and thrive in that environment. The everyday consumer needs to know how to succeed in the largest automotive purchase that they'll make in a long time. Or let's say even compared to buying a house, it's the second biggest thing to buying a house. That stuff's important. We educate our children to go to school, to get jobs, and they expect them to have several jobs in their lifetime. Probably the same amount of jobs that they'll have as the amount of cars that they'll buy in their lifetime. But yet we don't want to educate people on how to buy something that's more than an $800 iPhone. I'll tell you personally, just my $800 iPhone blew my mind. How to be the best salesman in the world to sell me on that product. The biggest thing I can really say about that is now that you have this $800 product, everybody wants an iPhone. They'll beat down the doors. In China, they're freaking out. Everybody wants that product. But yet it's an $800 iPhone. There's reviews after reviews after reviews comparing it to Androids and other items like that, but it's an $800 item. Even that $800 item applies to the theory that the moment that something is unaffordable for some, it needs to be hard sold. A hard sale means that the consumer can't gather it of themselves without extra help that, oh yeah, that's awesome, I can afford it and I'm going to buy it. That's what the hard sale is needed for. And that's something that the car business have always been associated with. When you go to a car dealership, what do you expect? A hard sale. You expect to get sold something that you may not need, that's not everything that you want, that costs too much, but because the sale was so good, that's why you bought it. Do we feel the same thing about other items? Is partly what you have to ask yourself. And the truth is no. When I go to the store and I buy a 30-pack of water and it costs, $3, each of those waters is nothing. But if I go to a baseball game and I see that same water is $4, it almost makes you sick. But because it's only $4, it's not a big deal. That's where people lose it. And that's where a lot of businesses don't realize how consumers truly work. All they're thinking about is percentages and numbers and increases and decreases and sales and how much cheaper something is. The point is, the moment that any item became to the point where someone couldn't just whip out the money and pay for it right there and because they don't care, now there has to be consideration. Consideration needs to be met with support. The support turns into the encouragement for a sale. When I go to buy a bottle of water, it's something that I need. I need water to survive. But I don't need to buy it in a bottle. Why do I buy it in a bottle? It's convenient. Conveniency adds to the demand to buy a certain product. If there's high demand in a product and it only costs $1 or costs less than $1, costs a couple cents, and I got a couple dollars in my pocket, it's not a big deal. If cars cost $1 and I had $20 in my pocket, do you think that I'd buy more cars? I probably would. But cars don't cost $1. They cost 10, 20, 30, 40, $100,000, $1 million. It costs that much. And the truth is, a car is more complex than a bottle of water. And a lot of people don't even understand that. We take cars for granted. In this fully saturated market, we take a vehicle that is an item that has a box in it that creates explosions, turns the explosions into power and drives those wheels and gets me from my house that's, let's say, 30 miles away to my job safely. That's amazing. People don't understand that anymore. A car to people is a push-button start and you're at work. A car today is a parallel parking assist that puts you in the spot without you having to know how to drive. And that's where the world changes. In the old days, you lived in a town. The town has a certain amount of jobs. If you don't have a job, no big deal. But if you do have a job, you know how you got there? You walked. The town was so small. If you had a horse, you could get there faster. That's the first step right there. But not everybody could afford horses. You know who has to sell the horse? The horse salesman, the horse trader. That's when the hard sale started. The moment that an item becomes more than just pocket change that I can do without. You look around today, it's all about lease payments. It's $99 a month. You can get it for this cheap. You only have to put this much down. Because they're focusing on the soft points of what the consumers know as their everyday life. What does a car cost? What does a car cost? Yes, the total price is part of what a car costs. What does the car really cost? That should help. The term really. What does it really cost? Unless if you're buying it in cash, which is less than 5% of the automotive purchases, the car cost, what does it cost per month to lease or finance this thing? What is the interest? What is the insurance to insure that vehicle? And what does it cost to put the gas in it? Because without gas, it don't move. Without the payment, you don't got a car. And without the insurance, it's illegal to drive it. And that's where the world changes too. There was a time when cars didn't have car insurance. Crazy thought, but there was a time. It's not that way anymore. So what our company does, we take guys who are experts in auto insurance. We have guys that are pros in auto insurance. They know the ups, the downs. They know what cars are cheap to buy but super expensive to insure. They know what cars are super luxurious and super cheap to insure. You know what makes it a little bit easier for you to accept if a car's a little too much money? If you know that the insurance is dirt cheap. That's not a hard sale. That's just education. And that's what we provide. We provide education. And that's the biggest thing. And you know what people really need and want and be happy to have? Free education. Ma'am, I'll send your kid to college for free. How do you feel about that? You like that? Yeah, I imagine. Sir, I send your son to college for free. How do you feel about that? Oh, you like that? Okay, cool. So, when you provide something that someone actually needs and knows that they need, and it's free, you can't lose. How many people here gamble? About half of you? Okay. So, if you gamble, do you know what the odds are that you're playing? Most people don't. But do you know what the odds are? They're very, very, very slim. What if I told you that you can go down to the casino right now? Right now you go to the casino. I guarantee you win every single time. You can't lose. Oh, by the way, I'll let you play for free. That's big. What we're doing right now is letting people be more educated than themselves and go into a system where they can't lose. The way that the market is now, it's a buyer's market. And it always has been and always should be. That's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be towards the consumer to say, hey, this is really nice. This is incentivized. You want to do this. It's a good deal for you. Yet, all those promises, all those advertisements, and all of those things have a little fine print at the bottom. The fine print makes up for the fact that all of these advertisements, these ideas, these specials, these incentives, they come from a source that has a conflict of interest. That's tough. There is a conflict of interest. We're a third party. I don't get paid by the consumers. I don't have to finagle a deal to get a little bit of extra money out of a consumer. And for someone like me who spent a lot of times in the car business and knows the ups and downs and knows all the intricacies of that, my big deal is that I can truthfully help people. I can tell you that the biggest thing that really will set you off is that when you're involved in someone close to you's transaction. A friend or a buddy, when they spend $100 or something like that and they ask you for advice, you care to help them. Now imagine that same friend, family member, mom, dad, girlfriend, sister, whatever. They're about to spend $24,000 to $80,000. Either you don't understand how much $24,000 to $80,000 is, or you just don't care enough about that person. I can tell you first, I know how much $24,000 to $80,000 to $100,000 to $1 million is. I know how much that is in real life money. And I put a lot of weight and a lot of stock in this because of that. But let's say you know that. You want to help them, but you don't know a ton about the car business. You don't know a ton about this professional industry that's worth billions of dollars to where you can be a great assistance to your friend, family member, spouse, whatever. That's where we come in. If someone was put in front of us, someone was referred to us, let's say, I can simply reach out to them at zero cost. What are you looking for? Oh, a Honda Pilot. Okay. Is there a budget in mind? Oh, there is. Where are you located? Got it. And I can unbiasedly shop in that entire area or outside of there with complete dedication to the person who's buying the item, the consumer, which is the entire point. I like the phrase, we're not in bed with anybody. All that really means, we don't have a conflict of interest. For people who don't really grasp how important that is, I'm not trying to say I'm helping you with another mindset in the back of my mind saying, oh, I'm helping myself by helping someone who's helping me. I don't think that's fair. I think that if I'm asking you to do something and I'm saying that I'm going to help you, I might truthfully want to be able to help you. And that's big. And I want to work with people who want to do that. Because at the end of the day, if you do that, everybody wins. Back to the example. Johnny's looking for a truck. He wants an F-150, the brand new one. Okay. Johnny, no problem. I can help you. Chris, I want it to be black. Okay. Have you seen any of that you like? Well, yes. You know, my local dealer has a blue, a gold, and a white. They're all a little bit more than what I wanted to spend, but they said they make me a good deal. So, Johnny, when you bought the iPhone, let's say, that you have, did you walk in there and they tried to sell you the Windows phone and this and that? No. They groveled at your feet, they said they weren't worthy, and sold you the iPhone. Because you're spending $800 for a phone. That's nuts. How much is that car that you want to spend? Or that you want to buy? It's $35,000. And you're getting treatment not to the standards of what you got at the Apple Store when you bought that iPhone. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. The best trained of the best trained car salesmen here and there are probably barely matching or barely surpassing what I would receive walking into any Apple Store at any time. And I guarantee if you really think about that, it makes sense. I feel that the level of service should equal the amount of cost. Sounds super obvious, but that's not how it is right now. So the biggest thing I can really say is review what we do. Review what we can do for people. Review what our concept is. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to bring an industry that's gotten too big, too saturated, and is worth way too much money back to the kitchen table. Because the moment that Bob and Betty at the kitchen table can really understand how things work, they'll value someone that's trying to help them, especially when it's for free. But most importantly, you don't undercut what's already there. And before I kind of end what I'm talking about, I'm going to leave it at the fact that we're not trying to put the car business out of business. We're not the computers that are trying to turn salesmen into cashiers. We're not trying to do that. But I also know that when I go to the supermarket and get a sack of bananas, I don't come up to the counter and the lady, knowing that the bananas are $3, tries to sell it to me for $5 because she knows that if she sells it to me for $5, she gets an extra $2 in her pocket in addition to her pay. That would be a conflict of interest. I wouldn't trust that cashier so much. and I'd go somewhere else. But let's say that there's a system in place to where the cashier knows that she makes enough money. If you make enough money, you don't want any more. If you're that kind of person. And most people are. If the consumer knows they're getting the item that they want at a price that's affordable to where it's not going to affect the affordability of that item, they can just buy it whenever they want, I guarantee you the market, the economy, and that industry will be stimulated. I promise. And when all those things are stimulated, the people who are selling those items are getting more business, they're making more money, and you know what? Maybe they're not having to crush people to do it. It improves their image. Now they're real people in the mind of the consumer. Because at the end of the day, you guys can think about it in any way that you want to. I want to help people with the experience that I have, and that I feel like that's very honorable. But you know, the biggest thing is the people that are in the car business that have made it what it is today, people who are in the business that's fully saturated, that have the conflict of interest, that's just because that's the way it is. Just like every other type of marketplace, it's just that what they're selling costs more. They're regular people. John the car salesman is just trying to do his job so he can pay for his kids to go to college, feed his kids, provide for his family. Doesn't sound so bad when you know that. But because of the cost of the item that John's selling, it puts him in a bad light. And considering that cars will continue to cost a running ton, houses will continue to cost a running ton, everything that is not a bottle of 20-cent water that I can just throw my money at it and not care, it's going to take education. It's going to take support. It's going to take guidance. It's going to take buying assistance. And that's what we offer. Free buying assistance to any rich, poor, good credit, bad credit, young, old, nationwide. As of right now, and hopefully worldwide. And all for free. And what does the automotive marketplace get out of that? More business, market stimulation, sales. And if you can just do that, you are now the car salesman's best friend, you're the dealership's best friend, and you're the consumer's best friend all at the same time. And it's not just me. Anyone can join me in this. Because when you bring it back to the kitchen table, it's just an everyday conversation. And that's what's really amazing. And I'd like everyone just to think about that, and I'll speak to you guys again. Thank you.